Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is club call time. I'm sure. Now, there's only two of us in the studio, but we're still doing club calls, so I will keep an eye on it on my laptop. And if someone calls, it means I have to run around there, set it up, and
just so you know.
But so there might be a bit fiddly. Ned's on holiday.
It's a technicality.
Ned's like Club Tropicana as we speak.
Fair play to him.
Fun and
Just
sunshine. Yeah,
drinks just all over his house.
he is.
He's wiping fluids up all
He
over
is
the
wiping
house.
fluids up, and that's not a euphemism.
No,
or a lie.
no. Keep getting texts off him telling us what he's doing. But yeah,
So-
there you go. You've had. If you're a Premier member, you will have been storing up your vent since Friday. Now is the chance to vent your spleen.
We were just about Black Friday, and we realised Black Friday was last Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So there's loads going on, of course. Premier League obviously returns this weekend. Our game Sunday, obviously the points deduction, all that goes with it. Even now, just like literally broken. Apparently that Sky are apparently going to turn down the volume or something if certain fake stadium sounds. Apparently they're going to take the noise that they use when Liverpool play.
Really?
No, after minute 1 when it goes dead quiet.
Oh, that's where it's silent.
And they pretend that there's actually crowd singing. They're going to use that. So
I can't. If that happens, then it's just what's the point of football anymore? Seriously.
What is the point?
mean?
I don't know what the point is, but there you go. Right. So yeah.
I'm just asking a question about this.
Is it real?
Mm.
Well, we'll find out, won't we? That may be funny.
There you go. Yeah. So there you go. If you've got something to say about Richard Masters or about the Premier
Big
League
Dickie.
ruling or about
Big Dickie.
Big Dickie,
Big
yeah.
Dickie, yeah.
Big Dick. Or you've got something to talk about Casey Dave Phillips, who is, it would appear if you looked at all of the information, he doesn't like Everton. Or if you think that Everton were right to get it and you're a Premier member, then give us a call and have your say. We've been talking about it for days, so let's hear what you've got to say about it. See what happens. That's the way to do it, isn't it?
Oh, there you go. That is a very close-up shot of your head.
I mean,
But just keep talking.
yeah, I don't think anyone needs that to be that close. Do you know what I mean? But there you go. Yeah, that's a better. I'll be honest, that felt like a better position. So that I'm hoping you can still hear me. I still feel like that's far too close. But hey ho, what can I do? I mean, I can start going like this. There you go. There you go. Hello, is it me you're looking at? I'll just shift from here. This is a much more chilled position. I don't even know, I don't even know where I don't sit like this normally. But hey, there you go. So let us know. Let us know. What your thoughts are. How are you feeling as Evertonians at the moment? Can you not wait for Sunday? Are we feeling that? Is it a case that everyone's trying to kick us? Is it making you more angry? We saw, obviously, the 1878 have released a video today of the cards that are going to be held up with the Premier League on. What do you think about that? It's over 40 grand, isn't it? They've raised now. How are you feeling? With all the information that's come out in the last few days, are you starting to feel like things are strengthening Everton's appeal? Or are you one of those people that just thinks there's no way this will get reduced? We'll end up still with the 10 points. Is that how you're feeling? But there has been other stuff out there that the whole thing's going to be quashed or swapped rather for like a transfer window ban and a fine. I can't see that personally. I feel like there could be like the punishment could be like halved or points suspended. I feel like that could happen. But yeah, it's been a hard few days, hasn't it? As an Evertonian, frustrating. It's not really. A lot of it is sensationalist. Don't get me wrong. And again, just to reiterate for people who feel like there's Evertonians who are saying we shouldn't be punished or whatever. I feel like if we have, and we've gone over the threshold, so therefore I feel like we should be punished. But I do not feel like a points deduction, and certainly not a points deduction of the amount we've been given, is justifiable, in my opinion. That's just the way it is. I just feel it's all a little bit mad. But yeah, let me know. I and if you're watching this and you're a fan of a different football club, what is your take? Don't be tribal over it. Just have a look objectively. Don't give it all you're cheating and all that. The money, the reason why Everton are over is to do with the state building a new stadium. Now, when there's been other stadiums, Arsenal built theirs, no problem. Manchester City were given theirs, which again I haven't got an issue with, but they were given a stadium. West Ham were given a stadium, right? Tottenham built theirs, okay? Now, we've built our own, but on top of that, there is a global pandemic and obviously a war in which we lost our sponsors. And there was a ruling yesterday that the Premier League clubs voted on where if Everton wouldn't have been under, if USM wouldn't have been under kind of sanctions, we would have been able to go and get another huge sponsorship deal, like properly huge sponsorship deal off them. But we can't because they're gone, and that's a big hole in our budget. So, for argument's sake, that is where we're up to. But let us know. I mean, like I say, it's not as if we've spent this money on buying Jude Bellingham for 150 million and we've stayed up because he's amazing. Ours is literally to do with the stadium. But there you go. We've got our first caller. Who is it? Oh, it's Astro. It's right.
Yo.
Just the man you need to kick off this kind of debate. Nick, how are you?
You got me, mate. Can you hear me?
Got me.
No. Nick?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hang on.
Hey,
hang on.
Yo.
Stay with.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not
Just
going
trying
anywhere.
to get Nick.
Yeah, I'm here.
Might be a little.
Test 1 2.
Is it me? Maybe it's me. Bear with.
I am in because I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here.
I can hear you, Nick.
Okay, mate.
There's a frog. There's a frog.
No, there's no frogs. There's no frogs.
No, they're not plugged in. Hang on.
Are they plugged in or not, Baz?
No, they're not because the wire's under the table. Right, bear with. Now I can hear him.
Go on,
Nick.
All right.
Go on, big man. Kick us off.
Well, I got to tell you something. Little
Frogs.
Dickie Masters and the rest of the Get Along gang at the Premier League with a little KC and the Sunshine Band Commission, they done well and truly outkicked the coverage and ended up in the middle of something they didn't want any part of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Stop it. Oh. it's hard to disagree. I mean, you kept mentioning cobras making me skin crawl there, mate, but you're absolutely right. They've opened Pandora's box and they can't shut it now, can they?
No, and the thing is that the ballot sheet don't fit, Daddy, then you got to acquit. And that's the bottom line right there. At the end of the day, and I explained it to a buddy of mine stateside. Stateside Evertonian, my buddy Kit down in Orlando, he's a massive blue now. He's worried about all this. And I said to him, listen, it's like me and you. Let's say that you're out on the lash, or somebody's out on the lash and they beat somebody up in a bar fight to the point where they can't even move and they're in the hospital. And they should be hit with like aggressive or aggravated assault and all kinds of stuff. But no, they get nothing. They get a fine. And they get turned. They don't even go to jail. They don't spend a minute in jail. I said, but you speed on your way to work, which is a misdemeanor, and you go 10 miles over the speed limit. It should be a ticket. But the busies clap the irons on you and put you in the paddy wagon and drag you down to the county jail for 10 days because you spent 10 miles over the speed limit. And oh, by the way, I don't know. It defies logic and reality. Okay, and then you've got issues of you have a Leeds lawyer, right? How long did this cat work for Leeds? Like a decade?
Years, yeah.
You can't tell me that he doesn't have attachments there. That is what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm struggling with my vocabulary.
A conflict of interest.
It's a conflict of interest. It's an absolute conflict of interest. And if you are going to do anything that is going to stand up, not in so much a court of law, but the court of public opinion, you have to make sure all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. You make sure the people who are going to make this decision are going to be vetted. They're free of conflict of interest. They are. Listen, we all have unconscious bias, so that's hard to avoid. But you make sure that they don't have any overt bias, and you have them rule accordingly based on a set of expectations and rules and experience. Right? You know what your crime is. You know what your punishment is. And again, we've gone through this before. It ought to be 9 points, not 10. The Premier League literally made this up as they went along, and it is a heavy-handed jackboot reaction to them trying to avoid oversight from the government. Let me tell you something. My granddad always used to say two things. One is, if common sense was more common, then more people would have it. If common sense was common, more people would have it.
Yep.
That's the first thing he said. The second thing he said is that the bit dog always hollers.
Absolutely.
Okay? That's exactly what this is. The Premier League knew they were about to get their butts twisted, and they knew they were about to get called up. Listen, if you aren't doing anything wrong, then you've got nothing to hide. It's like a spouse, cheating spouse trying to hide their phone. If you ain't doing nothing wrong, then why are you trying to hide your phone? You see what I'm saying? This is the Premier League. Little Dickie's trying to hide his phone. Okay? Little Dickie Masters and the KC and the Sunshine Band Get Along gang and the rest of these peckerheads at the Premier League, they're trying to hide their homework so that it doesn't get graded. They're trying to avoid having their little. They're trying to avoid having anybody look at what they've been doing because it's like this. If they're trying to avoid you seeing what they're doing, then there's probably more to it than you think.
Well, what about
probably more to it than you think?
Nick, what about the fact that you've just been talking about Dave Phillips, KC? Yeah?
Yeah, talking about KC and the Sunshine Band. Yes,
not
sir.
Not that one. Do you know that he sat on the panel that gave Everton the biggest ever fine for a pitch invasion for the Crystal Palace game? That's come out today.
Oh, my goodness. Color me shocked. This is my surprise face, if you could see it. Oh, and by the way, this same gang of thugs and hustlers are the ones who are going to decide whether they're going to hand out compensation. Woo, well, listen, if we in the business of opening up Pandora's box and getting involved in stuff we ain't got no business being in, let's just go all out. Let's go back. And I want 2009. I want the FA Cup from Chelsea.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you what. You start opening this, how far does it go back? It is nobody thought this through. They looked at us and they saw the disarray of how badly the football club was run. They saw an easy mark. They thought we were the ones, but what they didn't count on was that when they did this, they slapped a big blue hornet's nest. And it has absolutely riled up and pissed off every Evertonian from Boodle to Bangladesh. Okay? And we can have at each other. We do, because we're passionate and because we care. Nobody gets all bent out of shape about nothing they don't care about. Okay? The reason why Evertonians get so bent out of shape is because of how much we love this football club and how much it means to us, to each other, and to all of us as individuals. But when you come in from the outside, you better pack a lunch and load for bear, because you're going to pull off some shit that you ain't got enough hands to handle. And that's exactly what they've done. They going to find out. There's the effing around, and then there's the finding out. Well, they're graduating from effing up to finding out. There's effing around to finding out. I'm trying to mind my language, because I know we on here. I don't want the little children to hear me cussing more than they already have. You know, I don't want Astro Jr. picking up any of this bad stuff. He's at daycare right now, so it's safe. But I'm gonna tell you what, like he's absolutely beside himself. I mean, you can't even say nothing about the Premier League. He spits his bottle out and looks at you like, "Don't you be saying nasty stuff in front of me." Everybody knows. You know what? Life is weird. You go through some crazy stuff, and you guys know. You guys know me. I've been through some crazy stuff, and you kind of look at it and you go, "Man, what did I go through all that for?" Listen, the last 2 seasons was a dress rehearsal to get us ready for what we're going through right now. It was to mentally and emotionally and spiritually prepare us for the fight ahead. Because let me tell you something. This ain't a one-round fight, and this ain't a single opponent. This is like Survivor Series for the WWE, and your ass hit the ring first. And you got Undertaker, Andre the Giant, the Superfly Jimmy Snuka getting ready to come in and get you. Coco Beware got the bird flapping and all that stuff. And they all coming to kick your ass. That's where we are right now. But what they don't realize is that I Am a Real American is playing, and the Hulkamaniacs and the Evertonians is all getting together, and we about to whoop everybody's ass and blast them all. Because, listen, this football club's been here. Listen, founding member of the Football League. Before a Premier League was ever thought about, Premier League wasn't even a bubble in his daddy's ball sack when Everton started kicking a football around. So we're going to be here long after all these chodes have passed.
Nick, what are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
What are you going to do when all the Astromaniacs run wild on you?
That's exactly what the Premier League should be asking themselves, but they didn't. But guess what? They get to find out. Because I buy the whoop ass wholesale, Costco size. I get that shit by the pallet, okay? And when I let it loose, people going to go to build an ark because of all the whoop ass that's going to flood through. It's going to be like, y'all call Noah, build the ark, we're going to get flooded by Astro whoop ass. I'm telling you, it is, listen, Evertonians have mobilized, and we've come together, and it's like, you know what, Premier League, thank you. You did the one thing I didn't think possible. You woke a sleeping giant. And you're going to find out. Sunday is going to be magical. Get your kids, get around the television, record it for posterity, because it's going to be a kickoff like you ain't never seen before. It's going to be sight, sound, and fury. It's going to be beautiful.
I mean, I think the Frogs finally
got him.
All I wanted to say to Nick is we all stand together.
We do all stand together. Paul McCartney there on the phone giving it the big one. Just needed this baby in the background to go bum, bum, bum. Yeah. We'd have been all right. It's right. Thanks, Nick, for calling in from the Bayou there. Yeah, I mean, he's kicked us off in a a way that we couldn't have hoped and dreamed. So we've missed the Frogs. Obviously, we haven't had Degsy calling with his frog chorus lately, but Nick has been back. Great messaging from Nick, and obviously the added bonus of the Frogs.
I think what he was basically saying is to be an Evertonian, you need a thick skin.
Something like that, yeah. I think that's what, if you break it down, distill it, that's what it was. Dead-Eye Donny on the super chat. I actually feel a bit bad because Donny gave us a big super chat the other day, and Ned hasn't done what was requested.
I feel this is on you, though.
I will, when we finish.
You are like the official cleaner of TV.
I will do this when we finish, or I'll have a little bit of a go. Donny, I can only apologise.
There was a couple of more people in the room. In the
Bayou?
In the room, but they've seemed to have disappeared. So if you just want to come back, I'll sort you out.
Andre says, get the likes in. Dex says, click subscribe. Phil McBoob says, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the like button. So fair play, some great messaging. It's all good. And are we there? Oh, just heard someone. Hello? Oh, they're back. Hello? Gary? Is it Gary?
Ward?
Gary, you're out the basement yet?
Right, Rich, let's get Rich on. Rich, are you there? Yeah, look at that. We don't even need anyone over there.
Seamless.
Why didn't we know this before?
Seamless.
We've been giving Ned overtime for no reason. Go on, Rich.
No overtime, no more for Ned. Go on, Rich, what do you want to say, mate? Go on. Ramble away, Rich, ramble away.
We're just like Astro said, we're not going to take it lying down. And not only we're not going to take it lying down, we're going to be coming back at them in some way or other. Because, we all know it's ridiculous. We all know what they've done isn't for the reasons of safeguarding the integrity of the Premier League. It's not about any of that stuff. It's just about them looking after themselves, trying to make sure that their little position is nice and cozy, and their little cabal can carry on doing what they're doing in their own little way, and everybody else can just sod off, really. So well, we've got news for them, and I can't wait for the game at the weekend. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I can't wait to see all the cards being lifted, all the banners, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I just think you'd think they'd learn a lesson, wouldn't you? You'd think they'd learn a lesson after all the Hillsborough stuff. And I don't want to kind of be talking about any other clubs here particularly, but one of the things that they found out with all of that is you don't mess with people from this city. You don't mess with people. You don't like piss them off. You treat them right, and if you don't treat them right, you're gonna pay the price, and they're gonna pay the price in some way or other. And there's the law of unintended consequences, isn't there? They think that they've got this sewn up. They think that it's all sorted out. But actually, you know what? It's we keep talking about the Pandora's box. I don't even know what's in the Pandora's box, but it's not nice. and it certainly isn't going to be nice for the Premier League because they've started something and they think they're in control of it, but they'll find out that they're not in control of it. So,
I mean, do you find, Rich, with this is that, I mean, first and foremost, what were you not hoping? Because we were hoping nothing had happened, but what were you thinking might happen? Did you expect the points deduction with this, and if so, obviously this has been a surprise because it's the biggest ever, or did you expect something like maybe a suspended?
Yeah, I was expecting a suspended points deduction and maybe a fine, something like that. Maybe kind of 6 points suspended, maybe more if it's suspended. But yeah, a suspended points deduction and a fine. I thought maybe they might go for a transfer embargo or something like that, but I was hoping they wouldn't do that because, let's face it, we do need some more players. So I really, in some ways, I wouldn't rather have the points deduction.
Yeah.
But of the two, if it was a choice between getting a points deduction or not being able to get new players in January, even one or two, I would take the deduction. But no, suspended points deduction and a fine was what I was thinking they would do.
So bear in mind everything that's gone on since Friday, Rich, and we're hearing obviously more and more stuff going on each day and more information coming to mind. We've obviously got the stuff that's going on in Parliament. We've got Ian Byrne's early day motion. We've got lots of MPs signing stuff now. We had the Metro Mayor writing a letter personally to Richard Masters and all of that kind of stuff. Are you feeling confident on Everton's appeal that certainly the points deduction will be lessened? I don't think it'll be taken away personally, but do you think there's any hope Everton have got for having it maybe, say, reduced by 50% or maybe to 6 points instead of the 10? What do you think?
There's always hope, Baz. There's always hope. But it's more hope than expectation, to be honest, for me. Yeah. I think that the Premier League, because the way the Premier League, of course, are doing all of this, they have this independent panel. They can hide behind that. They can hide behind and say, it's not us. It's not us that's doing this. It's an independent panel that's doing all of this, And so the panel itself will want to... There's a danger for us that the panel itself will want to make it clear that they are independent and that none of this kind of external pressure has any effect on them. All they're going to consider is the evidence in front of them, which kind of is right. But, obviously there's the bigger picture that is there. So I would hope, I think if they do reduce it, they'll reduce it to 6. I can't see them going less than 6. So I mean, now 6 points, if we were 6 points down on where we were, we've got to get 50 points now basically, and we've got to aim to get 50 points to be safe basically now. And obviously with the 10 deduction, we would have to get 46 if we went down to 6. I think we can get 46 points. 50 points feels like a tall order at the moment. I don't know what you think about that, but I think it kind of.
If you're talking safety, we'll only need another 30 points for me. 34 points, Everton will be safe. The bottom 3 ain't getting more than 30 points, not at all. If you want to finish kind of 10th, 11th, then you would have to post probably another 45 to 50 points. Are Everton going to do that? Probably not, but you never know. But it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you would hope all of this info coming out would strengthen Everton's case, and it's certainly given Everton a case to take to the independent appeal, but you just don't know.
No, and no, and lawyers, they quite often like to kind of make it clear that they're the ones who are making the decisions, that nobody else is kind of, swaying them one way or the other. And actually, I wouldn't say it would be counterproductive, but it might just make them all the more determined to hunker down and just to kind of focus in that particular way on what we say. So, our appeal has to be right on the money. And to be honest, that's one of the things I'm less confident about is how good our our defence is going to be, because we should have, we started off by denying the whole thing, and then we said, oh no, we are guilty. And I think that was one of the things that counted against us. So they've got to get it right this time.
I think one of the things, Rich, is it for the appeal certainly is we sort of know what we're fighting now. Whereas from what's coming out, and I don't know this for an absolute fact, but it just feels like there's a few details that have come out afterwards that feel like the Everton maybe weren't aware of, or when there's one there saying that. Again, I can't hand on heart say I know this is for the truth, but there's something there suggesting that Everton were told the stadium interest was fine, and then the rules were changed halfway through, and that changed, so suddenly that wasn't fine. There's stuff like that that's out that it's like, did we put forward a case that we thought was everything in it was fine, and yet when it's got to the commissioner turned around and gone, oh no, that thing there, you can't have that, and then it's left us in this position. So I wonder now that they've got all the facts in black and white of what is legitimate, what isn't legitimate, we can go away and sort our appeal on based on that, because the appeal obviously hasn't gone in yet, because obviously they're getting their heads together to work out what the best strategy is, and that might be why a lot of these points deduction cases do get, say, halved or whatever it is in appeal, because people go away and they can actually see what they were punished for and go away and say, right, we can counter that. So that'll be an interesting one when we do get to the appeal.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair comments, and I hope that's right, and I hope that Everton do kind of understand, as you say, what they're up against now. I just want to say as well, actually, this is just on a slightly different point. There's been a lot of crap talked about this in the media, a lot of so-called experts coming on stuff. I can't remember, was it one of you mentioned the Gary Lineker's podcast and the experts on there? And I put a comment on there correcting about 3 things that he said. Obviously, that'll make a big difference. But, but it was just utter nonsense what he was saying. Like Everton, they just carried on signing players when they were told not to. I'm thinking the Premier League had to approve every signing that Everton made in the last 2 or 3 years. Well, certainly a couple of years, I think, isn't it? Yeah,
it definitely. I listened to that podcast, as you said, and there is a lot of that. And don't get me wrong, there's a bit of that on both sides. There's a bit on both sides where it's like you mention the stuff you want to mention and you leave out the stuff you don't want to mention. I mean, I don't think we've really done that. We've been very, very honest in our, judgment of, we know who done this, who caused this, and it was the people who ran our football club. But at the same time, clearly the football club have had a hell of a lot of legal advice and have gone in with that, and it hasn't maybe worked out the way they've wanted to. But there is a lot of, like, you ask someone a question who's an expert, so-called expert, and they just give you the rough shot of and go over the finer details of it and just go, Everton shouldn't have signed all these players. We saw this was in Jonathan Northcroft's article as well over the weekend. Everton, they went mad under Frank Lampard, and it's like, no, you've left out the fact that we sold Luca Dean, and then we sold Richarlison, and we've sold players in the last few years. We've barely. No, I said it the other day on Twitter, and I had all the typical Liverpool fans, Newcastle fans coming after me when I said we haven't spent anything in the last few years, because if you see how much money we spent and how much money we've brought in, we've brought more money in. So this idea of you've spent loads of money, well, yeah, we've also brought in lots and lots of money, and we've got rid of people on long contracts, which we were stuck with, and it's up, but it's all there, all this stuff about like Gylfi Sigurdsson and all this stuff about USM. All that's just getting ignored, completely ignored. We were talking about it yesterday on one of the shows, saying what about all like the finer details? What about Shank Tosin going on loan to Crystal Palace, and getting a knee injury, where there was a deal agreed for the end of the season. If he did all right, he gets an ACL, which keeps him out for a year. Like, how can any football club honestly account for that? And that's the stuff where in black and white it goes, well, you lost money on him. It's like, yeah, but he had 2 ACLs in 2 years. How can any football club account for that? That's money that has literally just gone up like a firework. And it wasn't our fault. He was at Crystal Palace when he done the first injury. It's mad, absolutely mad.
Yeah, Yeah.
Crazy.
No, and yeah, it is. Well, listen, I need to get off because I need to go
Rich.
parade around in my Everton top a bit more and go and get a few things. So, listen, nice one, lads.
Nice one, Rich.
Keep up the good work. Keep getting the word out there.
Nice one, Rich.
And keep sticking it to the man.
Nice one.
Cheers, Rich. Take it easy, mate. Ta-ra.
Right, we've got someone else, and he's just walking around somewhere that looks really, really sunny, and I'll have to go find out who it is.
Okay, we'll get that done in a minute. Make sure you like and subscribe, please. Also, on More Than a Game tonight, there is the latest Inside the Game podcast. It is with Gareth Farrelly, former Aston Villa, Everton, Bolton, Republic of Ireland midfielder, who's now, after playing football, has become a sports litigation lawyer, but is talks about bullying in football, talks about mental health, talks about serious illness. It's a brilliant conversation. I absolutely loved it. So make sure you check that one out as well. I'll put the link in to More Than a Game. Go and subscribe there as well. It takes a second for you to subscribe. There it is at the bottom. Who've we got? Pat. I think we're going to Pat now. Pat? Hello?
Yeah. Hey,
Pat. You okay?
I'm doing all right. It's been a whirlwind week. I was feeling really good about everything, until Friday. It was, it felt, 14 points. What, we were 14th in the table. Felt good. But then the hammer came down, and it has been so absolutely frustrating talking with, hearing so many podcasts, hearing you guys here talk on Toffee TV, everything showing just how everything was just rushed, made up. Everything was done last minute in this, or, ex post facto was done, creating rules in the middle of the procedure, changing the way the stadium interest is accounted for in this. And the thing is that the loudest voices are the worst voices in journalism. I was talking with a journalist, I think, when I was in high school. They did a career day, and he said that sports journalists are the lowest level of journalists you can get, and the opinion journalists of those are the bottom of the dregs of them. So what that is. I think that's changed over the years a little bit with the Athletic and a lot of other things coming in and becoming a more reputable area, but you still have people like Gary Hughes writing for a major paper and whatnot, and people on Twitter, pretending they're actual journalists when they just write tweets and are never actually published by any
Matthews, I think you're Matthews, Pat. You were saying
Matthews,
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Just want to make, in case someone was like, "Who's this?"
Okay. Yeah. Anyways,
go on.
So that has been the most frustrating thing about this. And I mentioned it in a comment a couple days ago about how Gab Marcotti and Julien Laurent were talking on their podcast about this. And Gab, because he did write for the Times, and so he has lived in England, but he also wrote for Sports Illustrated, and then he was written for many, many different respected outlets in his home country of Italy as well. And because he has those three different perspectives from those three different countries, he brings sort of a way that an American can understand, but also as a European can understand, and a European who's not English can understand as well. And he was making the point that when owners come in and maybe see, like, especially American owners who are very used to making profits when they buy sports clubs, we print money over here because obviously we have a closed system. Everyone gets, besides baseball, everyone gets equal shares of money and has all the same resources by and large. When they come there, they think, if only we can make money here, this would be the biggest industry in the world. And you know what? We're going to be the first people to make money here. Until they come here and they realize the pressure from media, fans, from communities is to spend at a loss every year and lose money, just throw money down the drain constantly over and over again. And it isn't sustainable. And the idea that this system was ever going to stop that, and when it was supposed to just create safety nets to prevent things like Chester going out of business or Derby from going into administration or things like that, has become a farce. It's not about protecting that. It's about pulling up the ladder for the people who got in early, cheated big, cheated early before the regulations came in. And so as an American, it's very weird to hear now that all of a sudden that there is this talk about it as if this was about fairness. Because if it was about fairness, and Pat, you've made this comment many times, it's funny that America, one of the most ruthless, laissez-faire capitalists, first world countries, has some of like the most socialist sports infrastructure.
Yeah,
in terms
I know,
of
it's crazy.
Leagues. It is. And yeah, people make fun of us. Oh, you get a draft pick if you pick last, if you get last and everything like that. And you're not rewarded for winning. But the other thing is if you get on top, you essentially in especially this current configuration of English football, and you never lose it as long as you can stay in there for a couple years, barring massive malfeasance. You get to stay there forever. You are entrenched and enshrined in your completely deserved and absolutely unshakable top 6 position.
And it's why that's why so many Americans want to buy into it as well. Because of that reason, because you are literally buying into staying in a place forever.
Exactly. And teams that come in from lower down, a team, let's say, that's why you see the American owners outside of potentially, I guess, us with 777 are the teams that have been traditional powers. Manchester United, in the Premier League era, Manchester United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Those are 3 American-owned clubs, and because they're entrenched in the top 6, where they fire managers if they don't get Champions League, they consider firing their managers, let alone top 6. Whereas for any of the rest of the 14 of us down in the rest of the bottom 14, 6th place finish, we'd be ecstatic. We'd be, at this point, we'd be building Dyche statue if he got us in the top 6 this year somehow. And so that's, I guess, the frustrating thing. And I think a salary cap is needed for fairness reasons. Do whatever you want to help people stay sustainable and whatever, but if we're going to do it both on fairness grounds and allowing people to actually make profit like a business, because no other business is allowed to actually lose this much money every year or barely break even and would stay in business. These businesses, if they were not community projects and essentially an entrenched part of a community, all of these clubs, even the richest ones, would fold within a couple of years. So anyways, that was my ramble. I just wanted to hear your guys' thought on that differentiation and the unfairness of this.
No, you're absolutely right, because we've mentioned this loads of times. Anyone's ever listened to us, we fully understand there has to be some kind of financial cap, because Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain would run amok. Newcastle would run amok, and it would encourage more people from these countries to come in. We've got endless amounts of money who want to do the sports washing to just come in and run away, and we'd never see them. We'd never ever see them again. So there has to be something. But this version of it does not work. And the reason it doesn't work is exactly what you just said there. It pulls up the ladder. It stops an Everton saying, well, we need to build a stadium if we want to compete. We're not saying, and I know we have done it in the past, but we're not saying, well, we want our owner to spend all this money. And we'd love that. But at the end of the day, Mashiri could spend all his money, and Man City would still literally just be going, yeah, big deal. That's basically pocket money for our kids. There has to be a system which works for everyone. And for us, I think that's like not a salary cap as such, because again, then you'd have footballers saying, you're stopping us earning money. There has to be some kind of just a cap on what a club can spend in a year, and that way it's fair for everybody. The people who've already got their money and who have already got their places, they're still assured of most of that. But what it says to us is Man City, Liverpool, whoever else, you can't have that £850,000 a week striker and have that £700,000 a week striker and also have 3 kids on the bench who are on £100,000 a week because you've just took them from an Everton or whoever else. There's got to be a system where we get it even again. We've said loads of times, this didn't start with cash. This started with substitutes. This started when you took the bench from 3 to 7, and suddenly the big clubs went, oh, we can just stack all our benches and we can take all the good players. Because footballers used to actually care about playing. The minute it went to 7 subs, they stopped caring and they were willing to take the money. And that's what changed football. So we have to get that balance back. And the only way is saying to a City, a Man United, a Liverpool, whoever it is, you just can't have 7 amazing players on your bench anymore. You can fill your team with the greatest players you want, as long as it adds up. And we were talking about this yesterday. We were thinking, the best way we can describe this, and which everybody will understand it, is think about fantasy football. Think about every single year when it's the beginning of the season and you go pick your fantasy football team, and you've only got 100 million to spend, and you can't have Salah, Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne, say. You've got to be dead smart, and suddenly it becomes a really interesting game because not everyone can have everyone, and some weeks you might gamble and go, I'll make Haaland the captain, and Haaland doesn't score and someone else's, and that's interesting. Imagine fantasy football is if you had 100 million and you could, or 200 million or 300 million, 400, and you could just buy all the best players. It would be nonsense. So that's the best way I can describe it to people. Create a fantasy football situation where you've only got X amount of money a season to pay these players. And if you can't afford to keep those two players, then you can't. Because guess what? If you can't afford the 600,000 because he's your third best player, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs, they'll make him their best player. And suddenly we get a fairer competition. Everyone still gets paid. And it's just a fairer game. And suddenly it's very black and white as well. If you go outside the lines of your whatever 100 million it is, you get sanctioned. You get, I don't know how they calculate it, 3 points for every million you go out, whatever it is. That to me is a fairer system. Will it ever come in? I highly doubt it, because who wants it? Are 14 clubs going to vote for that? Are 14 clubs going to say, well, those teams, if we go and play in the Champions League, we're at a disadvantage. That's the problem. It would have to come in all over Europe. It would have to come in the Champions League. But the mad thing is, I think the Champions League teams would be happy with that, because that would bring the Premier League clubs closer to them.
Yeah.
So if it was a European thing, I think it would. But I don't know if it would break any kind of EU regulation, work regulation. I don't know. But that's why I'm saying you can't punish the players, but by saying there's a wage cap, a salary cap. But I do believe there has to be some kind of... Otherwise, this game is going to get very, very complicated very, very quickly. And we're going to be settling stuff in the courtroom and not on the football pitch.
That's what I was saying with the difference between a salary cap and a wage cap. A salary cap is just saying this is how much you have to spend on your wages for your squad. If you wanted to include transfers into that as well, I don't know. That seems to be a discussion I'm not very well versed on. But because I've seen in the NFL and hockey especially, for example, you have to be smart, because there are teams who keep winning in the NFL despite getting lower draft picks for winning. And it's an interesting thing to do. Like I said, in fantasy football, or in American sports, you have to decide, like for the Blackhawks in hockey, we paid two of our best players that helped us win 3 championships, $10 million a year. And that meant our team basically died, because we can no longer pay the, what we call like third and fourth line forwards. We could not pay our second and third pairing defensemen money enough to actually get the high enough quality. And as soon as they got old, we stopped winning, and we're in the dregs of the league because we were stupid in our finance allocation, which is so much harder to do than just saying we're going to throw money in the air. Here, you have 800,000 a week. You have 700,000 a week. You have 500,000 a week. That's easy. That's not intelligence. That doesn't take smarts. You wait for other teams to develop talent for you, and then you just throw money around. That doesn't show skill. That doesn't show intelligence and operation. It's the teams that do it despite that, like Brentford or Brighton, that actually show an interesting way of doing it. And so that's why a combined cap, I suppose, would be the way that it would be done. But as you said, I don't think it's going to be done. And the difference is obviously is America and Canada tend to combine our leagues. So we really only have to deal with two countries' regulations, and most of the time just one. Yeah. So that obviously does make that. But I hope go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you mentioned Brighton and Brentford. Brighton and Brentford are on the flip side of that, because they're the ones who've realised that everyone will spend big money on talent that someone else has developed. So they're on the other end of that. They're the smart ones, because they've developed the talent, and they understand that the big clubs are willing to pay those silly amounts of money for that talent. So there is a flip. Of course, there's a flip side. It's just whether as a football club, you want to be on that flip side. What are your ambitions? You know, are Aston Villa, who have got serious ambitions now, are they going to put themselves in a position where they go, well, do you want Ollie Watkins? Do they want to get Ollie Watkins and have him at his peak, or do they want to sell Ollie Watkins to a Manchester City, to a Liverpool? That's the fine line at the moment, and I suppose we have to just get rid of that in a way, because we shouldn't have to have that either, should we? It should be a case of Villa should be able to keep Ollie Watkins because no one else is going to pay him the money he wants apart from Aston Villa. So, but you are right. It's a different system completely.
Yeah, and the last thing is, I hope that Goodison is rocking and we don't get some WWE crowd noise, or, like Baz, you were saying, some piped in Anfield silence, because that's all they have. Yeah. You know, I have a feeling, actually, maybe they just play You Never Walk Alone, like, over the speakers with crowd noise, and then the real fans have to start cheering and singing, and they realize they don't actually do that over there. So let's hammer Manchester United, because I feel like these players, with the spirit that Dyche has them playing with, are going to really revel in that, because we are arguably one of the biggest and most physical teams in the league, and they're all going to be fired up to hell coming Sunday. So watch out.
Yeah, absolutely, Pat. Nice one, mate. Good call. I'll be honest, Pat, the day they pipe in You'll Never Walk Alone to Goodison is the day hell officially freezes over.
Yeah.
Nice one, Pat. I think Pat's gone.
It's gone. Fair play to him.
Wait. We definitely do have another caller there, so I'll get him on. He's been waiting in the sunshine for ages.
Okay.
Don't know whether it's KC though.
I don't know if he's there. Hello?
Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on.
Hello? Who have we got? Say it again.
Pali.
It's just try one more time. You keep going off when you're saying it.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So, what's your name?
Pali.
Okay, and what do you want to talk about?
Can you hear me still, or?
I can hear you now clearly. Right, start again. Go on.
Well, initially, I was just gonna talk about or ask what the real chances were that the 10-point deduction was going to get overturned, and a previous caller kind of covered what that would be. But I was just wondering, what the reasoning would be because there's a second committee or something that takes the case on appeal, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Completely different people, but they have to look at it, but use the same quote unquote rules, because it sounds like the rules are being made up as they go in a way. Is that right? Almost.
Well, it feels like that, doesn't it? Yeah, there is a new independent commission that will be formed for it and take up the appeal. It's not the same one, so it's up to Everton to argue their case better, I guess, than what they did in the original one. And obviously,
and I think that Pat actually made a really good point with Cenk Tosun and Gylfi Sigurðsson and that case, because if a football club is not a business like a lot of other businesses, meaning if you have to have 200 million in the bank because you don't know if you're going to sell Caicedo for 100 million pounds or whatever, but then he gets injured, but you were counting on those 100 million, all of a sudden you're 100 million below what you were expecting, and now you're running afoul of the financial fair play. You know what I mean? So Pat made a good point. I think Everton should go in and say, well, listen, here's one player who we were counting on selling that was maybe 25 million, and Gylfi Sigurðsson, certainly when he was 30 before that thing went down, he probably would have been worth another 20 or something. So that's a lot of money there that has to be taken into account, that we're dealing with a business that relies on people. It's a kind of we're selling people in a way. It's like it's a strange business that way, and I think they have to take that into consideration. There's a lot of money there that the club was counting on but couldn't get, therefore went over. Does that make sense?
No, it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think sadly, they don't seem to want to accept that kind of thing. Listen, I get it. They will say, well, that's just the way it goes. Transfer fees can go and things like that. But there is the issue is that there's a lot of things that Everton or that has happened in this time scale that aren't year on year off events, building a new stadium, a global pandemic, a war that costs you hundreds of millions of pounds in sponsorship. These are not everyday or certainly every season events, and that's why I think they should be looked at slightly differently.
Yeah. And that announcement yesterday was a slap in the face to say that basically, how it used to work was if a company came in and they want to sponsor you, you had to have the Premier League would look at it and say, well, is it really worth that? And yesterday they basically voted against that. So if you get a sponsorship deal now off anybody, it can be as high as it wants. So that allows Man City, Newcastle, and let's be honest, Everton with USM would have had the same thing. So no one can argue now that if USM had give us 50 million a year, I don't think they would have, but if they had have, no one could argue that now because that got voted out yesterday in the Premier League. Because basically the Premier League teams have decided, who cares? Let's just throw out all the rules out now. If they can do it, we can do it. Rather than saying, well, those two can't do it, everyone's saying, well, let's do it. So our stadium could have been worth 50 million a year to a USM or USM company, Megaphone or whatever. And no one would be able to say anything about it. So we've had that taken off us. And that was literally ratified yesterday, which feels like a massive smack in the face, if I'm honest. And it feels like they want, like you just saying then, it feels like they want a bond. It feels like they want you to have X amount of money in the bank account just in case something happens. And we all know businesses don't work like that. They different challenges happen every day. A shop could be the most profitable shop in the world and suddenly there could be a bloody storm and flood the place. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't. You can't account for it.
It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, you just can't account for that. No, absolutely not.
I think like speaking about the salary cap. In America they have there are brackets. Where there's only a number of players. Certain players you can pay the highest salary. Then there's a mid-level, and then there's a lower thing. And I can't see why. I know that Pat was saying earlier, then footballers would say, oh, you're preventing me from making a lot of money. But I doubt that you would ever hear, LeBron James say to anybody, oh, I'm not making enough money. But still, he's operating under a salary cap where there are brackets. He can only make so much.
Yeah.
But so can everybody else who is equally good a player as he is. I can't see why we couldn't have that in the Premier League as well, because like the wealthiest Premier League teams, they're buying up really good players. Like Calvin Phillips is somebody who, and then barely plays. So exactly. What does that mean? Well, that means that the team that he came from is now not as good a team.
Yeah.
So if you have just endless amount of money, you could just buy because people like money. So you could buy, Grealish and those kind of players, and all of a sudden Aston Villa is not as good of a team, but he's sitting on the bench for half the season.
Yeah.
So that's making Aston Villa a lesser team and so on and so forth. So we can't go down there.
And that's a really good point. And you mentioned like LeBron James there. What the American system actually does is it says to the other teams, well, if you want our best player, you've got to pay for them. And this is why players move quite often in American sports. It's because there's always somebody willing to pay more. LeBron James moved.
But also you have to let another player go, though, because you can only have, let's say, two players on the top. So if you want LeBron James, you have to let the other player go in a trade, because you can't have him and LeBron unless LeBron is willing to take the mid-level.
Well, we saw that. We saw that at the Warriors, didn't we? When they had Kevin Durant, and they couldn't keep Kevin Durant and have Steph Curry as well. So Durant had to. And that, at the time, people were like, the Warriors are basically cheating, and they were like, because they could afford these two players. But Durant, because he was such a good player, ended up leaving because they couldn't afford to keep him, and then that broke up that team, so they didn't win the NBA, and someone else won it. And you'll always get that when you've got that kind of competition. We saw, like you mentioned, LeBron James. He moved from the Cavs to Miami, didn't he? Because Miami decided they could spend loads of money, and then he left them, and it creates competition. So Haaland might be on 850,000 and suddenly might go, I want $1 million, and City go, we can't afford it because we've got all these other people. But guess what? Someone else might be able to afford, and it creates a competition. It creates players. Players will still, like you absolutely just said, players will still earn what they want. But what it means is the players who are at the bottom, who don't deserve to earn money like that, won't get it, and that needs to be addressed as well.
Yeah, this is the only way to fix the Premier League, and it's been obvious for a very long time.
Yeah,
anybody who's taken a look at the American sports system, where a town like San Antonio in Texas, a tiny little town, can win championships. It works. It just works.
Yeah.
And I know it's a bit of a socialist system or whatever, but it works in America, and it will fix the. It would fix the Premier League as well. I mean, it's right there. It's not like we're inventing anything. It's been used for so long, and we know it works.
Yeah.
We know it works. It's not like we have to ask ourselves. It's definitely works. So, but that is. I mean, I wish for the best. It's a really crappy time to be an Evertonian, but it's just going to bring us all together and
absolutely.
And I think that hopefully it's gonna translate to the players on the pitch, so they're gonna feel and sort of inspired to basically run that extra mile and fight a little harder to win a game. That would be awesome if we could see that for the rest of the season. The players would just take this on as a challenge and just crush the competition. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Can I ask one more footballing question to get away from all this?
Go on.
This kind of nonsense. I know that Idris Agana Gay scored in the last game or whatever. He hasn't scored in 2001 or whatever at PSG. I'm always baffled by players, professional players, and I'm an ex-player myself, and as a prolific goal scorer, I can't understand for the life of me why players who are so good otherwise, when they get inside the 18, they just can't hit the frame. Like, what is going on there, really? I mean, even Ghana Gay scored mainly because his first touch, after the pass from Takura, it was a really good first touch, and then he was slipping. He was, even as he hit the ball, it wasn't really a composed finish. He was slipping and slipping and sliding with the ball and hitting him. Oh my God! Of course, he would score that way. And Iwobi is another one. And some of these players, they're professional players. They must be able to do it in practice. They can't hit the frame in a game. What's going on there, do you think?
I mean, it's just composure, isn't it, Baz?
Yeah.
Just mental. They're just so stressed out when they get in. They know that they haven't scored for a while, and they just hit the ball like way wide. And you think it was easier to score there. What's going on? There seem to be the same players.
It is a lack of composure. That's all it is. It's not practicing every single day after training till it becomes a habit. It becomes second nature to you, and you can practice.
Yeah, but is it almost like a mental? Almost like they have to strengthen mentally, because I know as a goal scorer, I went into every game thinking, I know I'm going to score, and when I got a chance, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to score. But that didn't mean that I scored every single time. I believed that I would score every time.
Yeah, but that's a mindset, though, isn't it? That's a mindset.
It's a mindset, yeah.
And because you're doing it regularly, you don't think about it. And in fact, if you were any kind of striker, you will have had those weeks where it won't go in no matter what you do. You're still trying, you're missing chances, but the goal does kind of shrink for a little bit. And then the biggest issue you can have then as a goal scorer is you start to overthink it, and then it gets worse.
Yeah, I guess it's a mental thing. So maybe somebody should develop a mental test or a mental practice for those players who can hit the frame, and see if they can calm down a little.
There's an easy thing to do, and it's stay for half an hour every day after training and just practice your finishing, so that it becomes second nature. It's as simple as that's what the strikers do. What the strikers do.
Yeah.
If the strikers are staying shooting, then kind of go, there might be something in that. How good they are at that. You know what I'm not saying.
There might be something in that.
Exactly. There might be. It mightn't get you to be ice cold when you're 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper like a lot of strikers are. But what it'll help you do is be better than you were yesterday. Not enough of them do it, in my opinion. But hey ho, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, but then you see, like, I mean, every time a Ghana guy like gets close to the 18, and you can see he's gonna, try to hit it from there, and I'm thinking, oh no, run, just pass it, just pass the ball. Don't even try to shoot from there, and it's just kind of frustrating because there are options to pass, but they're like getting close, and then you can see it in their face and in their body language that they wanna shoot. But I'm thinking, you're way out there. You're never gonna make it. You can't even make it inside the 6. Like don't even try it. But they do it. And I wonder what the manager says to them after a game. It's like, if I was the manager, I would say to Gay, just don't. You're not allowed to shoot. You're not allowed to shoot. Like you can only pass it outside the 18. Or like at the 18 right there. You know what I mean?
But
I wonder if they do that.
He might be up and running now. You might see Ghana Gay smashing them in from everywhere now. You just never know. You just never know.
Yeah, I know. You never know. It's like, sports are a confidence game. They are a confidence game, no matter what,
100%.
Absolutely.
There you go.
All right, guys. Love you guys. Keep up the good work.
Tell me wait, what's your name again? Every time I ask you, it cuts off. So tell me.
I'm Pali. Palli.
Pali.
Where are you?
Where are you calling from, Pali?
Well, what do you think? Look, can you see
It's California.
It's California, but whereabouts?
Of course.
Whereabouts?
Isn't it? Hang on, aren't you just north of LA?
Yeah.
There you go.
These are the Channel Islands out there.
There you go.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
I could tell that. See, I seen the video of you, and I could tell by where the sun was hitting you where you were. See, I could tell by the sun's rays. The angle. I could tell.
That's what it was. Yeah.
The angle.
Fair play.
That's right. Well, wish our team the best this weekend. I hope we beat them. We're gonna beat them 4-0. I think.
Nice. I hope you're right, Pali. I hope you're right.
Good man.
Okay.
Nice
cheers,
one.
pal. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye.
I've just said cheers, pal, to Pali.
Pali. Cheers,
Fair
Pali.
Fair
the
play.
Frogs were out. Listen,
the frogs. Pali had the frogs with us.
What happens is with the frogs, it's because people call and they're on the mobiles, which is fine. But that's what happens basically. If you're on your mobile, he was outside. He was sitting in the sun. I could see the video of him sitting outside in the sun.
Sat chilling.
Just sat chilling in the sun. But it is always best to be on if you can,
on
to be on
Wi-Fi
Wi-Fi at least.
Yeah.
Because Pali from Cali sounds like a froggy.
Fair play to him. Make some good points though.
Yeah.
Make some good points. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Let's have a look of these. Let's have a look. Yeah.
There's a lot of frog chat in the chat.
Oh, yeah, but no, that's fair. It's all about the frog, isn't it? Never match yet. What do you think about that frog? The Sky Sports story has been rubbished.
Yeah, someone's been had off, and
absolutely rubbish. That is not the plan. It's
Martin
nonsense.
Ziegler has deleted his tweet.
Yeah. Someone's led them up the thing.
Okay.
They've led them up the garden path, haven't they? But there you go. That's what
where all the frogs are.
Where the frogs are, apparently. Yeah.
Where there's a pond at the top.
Yeah. Bum. We defo need. I know we can't because you can't do it for rights and stuff. But that would be the great introduction to this. The show.
We can get Ned to play.
Yeah,
if Ned
to play a version of it,
then it wouldn't be. There wouldn't be any. We get him to go. Ba, 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 ba.
Oh, that one. Just anything that frogged up, we'd be laughing, wouldn't we? Because I think it'd be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ned
fun. Actually looks like the little. Remember the little frog? Remember those little pixelated bits? I remember that being on top of the pops on Christmas Day when it was number 1. It was just like.
Actually, there, pixelated
not good, is it?
Celtic Vapes at the Toad of Walton Hall.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, crazy frog. Phileas frog, Emma's gone with. See, there is the frog. The frog action is there, isn't it? The crowd news story, the Blues has been totally rubbished for Sunday. It's nonsense, apparently. So there you go. Make sure you hit the like button.
Love it.
Subscribe if you haven't. At the moment, don't forget the Gareth Farley Inside the Game podcast is available after this, so make sure you go and give that a watch. Subscribe to More Than a Game. There's the link there for you as well.
That was like the most back-to-back callers we've ever had. I'm on my own trying to sort them all.
Good. Gary says, what was the false Sky Sports tweet? I just tuned in, catch up. Well, Sky Sports didn't tweet it, but someone put it out, and then Martin Ziegler tweeted it saying Sky are going to pipe in different crowd noise for Sunday, but apparently it's a load of nonsense. So Eugene says you need to release the frog chorus and get it to Christmas #1.
I'm not sure that's ethical.
No.
I don't think I've got the facilities for that.
No, I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man. Or do bing bing.
Yeah. The thing what people have got to ask them for, would the show be as good without the frogs?
Well, that's it, isn't it? I think,
know what I mean?
What I think people want sometimes, though, is like, hit a frog, miss a frog.
Yeah, well, maybe. Pat was perfect.
Pat was perfect.
Had a great conversation. And then Pali jumps on and he's in the sun and he's got a bit of frog action.
But that's all right.
And you can't beat that, a bit of frog action.
Huh? Why not?
Yeah.
You know, he's just there.
Astro just came on, did a bit of frog, disappeared. I haven't heard from him since.
He was in the bayou. Astro was like purely in the bayou, though.
He hasn't even messaged me or anything to go, yeah, sorry, got cut off there.
Yeah, no. He just got off. He just went, I've said me piece. I'm gone. Know what I mean?
Fair play.
So I don't know.
Fair play.
I don't know. The Blue says, anyone know of Onana has trained? I saw a video of him bet on Patterson, but could have been recorded previously.
Could have been.
Don't know. Obviously, I imagine the press conference is Friday.
Probably, yeah. There's nothing
scheduled for tomorrow, so I'm sure he'll want to leave it till Friday, and then everyone's back and have trained, won't they? Tomorrow, and then he'll know then by Friday what's going on. So yeah, hopefully. RC says it'll be lonely this Christmas without the frog to hold.
I mean, tremendous.
Can't argue
tremendous
with that, can
stuff.
You can.
Let me just warn everyone, in 15 seconds there's going to be an advert. I just wanted to tell you, there's going to be an advert. There's going to be an advert in 10 seconds.
Oh, just a random.
Was it an 8? Just a random advert. We might just go quiet for 5. If we go quiet and you've got Premier access, then that's because there's an advert.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah.
The advert's on right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's on right now.
There you go. If you've got Premier, it's...
Well, not Premier.
No.
YouTube Premier.
YouTube Premier, yeah. If you've got that, you're buzzing.
So I don't know if it's back or not.
Well,
just going to say...
Guess who's back?
Just going to say nothing that's worth talking about so that you haven't missed anything.
Yeah, then you won't miss anything.
Just let us know.
Yeah. Brian Ball says, are the frogs there to promote the Christmas jumpers? And Matt C says, frog on the time is all mine. I like that. Is a good one. That is a good one.
Someone said no ads. I don't know. They just said there was an ad coming. Fair enough.
There you go. Jester says 30,000 doing the frog chorus next month. And Emma says, hopefully Dexy hadn't copyrighted the frogs or everyone's in there. Do. There you go. What can you say? Was there an ad? Let us. If you saw an ad, was an advert about trading apparently.
Well, it might be different for different people. I don't know.
Okay, there you go.
Maybe if YouTube listened, they would have put a frog advert in. It would have been seamless. I know you might hate ads, but I've got a little surprise for you. This costs money, and we have to earn that money. So you can cope for 5 seconds.
5 seconds if you're watching the telly. Do you know what I mean? If you're watching the telly, then the adverts come on, don't they? This if you can't stand 5 seconds.
Kevin said he got an advert for Fubu TV.
There you go.
So it's different people in different places.
Matthew Bush says the Adocalypse. Fair play.
Andrew said they got a perfume advert and a speaker advert.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
I think what that's saying is you stink and you need better hearing.
That's
sorry.
What they do.
Someone said they got a toothbrush advert. That's because you don't.
Rod got an ad for Sky in the Premier League.
Oh, that's targeted.
For you,
there
Rod.
You go.
That tells me you like it.
You will still get adverts even if you're watching Toffee TV Premier because this is live on YouTube. There you get the ads as well. It's just one of those things.
You wouldn't get them on every other live though. Days. Yeah.
Not on. If you got live shows on Toffee TV Premier,
you wouldn't be getting ads.
You wouldn't get ads.
But there you go.
Kevin said he got an advert for Babe Station.
Fair play, Kev.
Is that like Tool Station?
I don't know.
Okay. No, the way you can go to like tool station and all their tools, next day delivery and all that, is it just asking?
I don't know. So what your next day delivery of one of the babe station girls?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. That's
Either that or a pig.
I don't know. Lollipop says, I love skipping ads. It's so satisfying. Fair play to you.
Basic Trig says, shush ped, don't spoil it. It was a hard sell. Yeah, but it's also fake selling.
Yeah, we don't want to.
People get over there and then they cause murder and they get in touch with their local ombudsman and we'd be basically just jailed.
And the local ombudsman is Richard Masters.
Basic Trig says Ned got an advert for Thanos.
Yeah, I think he did.
But to be fair to Thanos, it's got a better rating than the Premier League headquarters is. At least it's got ample parking and it's clean. Can't say the same about the Premier League.
James says the trailer was of Mathew's bear getting blasted on Babe Station. Fair play. I mean, listen, that's targeted. That is targeted. So fair play. Fair play.
He's howling at the moon.
Yeah. Brian, yeah, something has changed.
Roy says that watching in France, my dad was a strange guy with a cat. That's tremendous.
Okay.
Fair play.
That is, again, that's fair play. Rod says you need an OnlyFans. Yeah.
We've got one.
Only ads.
Got Toffee TV Premier. We reveal lots on that.
Still having an OnlyFans and Ned's.
I think Ned's got one.
Ned would smash it as OnlyFans, I reckon.
I think he would, just him with his guitar
Over his bits.
just being naked going, Spirit of the Blues.
Na-na-na. Na-na-na. Vin, nice one. Nice one, Vin.
We're not lost without Ned at all. We're not lost without Ned. The problem is that I have to go over there. So I have to physically...
I think the reality... Listen, we love Ned. Ned's amazing. The reality, what you seem to be missing is we're just a person down.
Yeah.
So if we can train Ped's dog to just touch the button, we'll have Loki doing it. Ned's boss, but...
He is. It's just that, like, I have to physically move over there and actually do something technical and come back. And so we're not lost. Ned doesn't solve the frog problem.
No. But fair play, Ned's boss, so it's all good. Kev, I can't say that out. The Blues went for Nagano versus Matthews. I'd be a bit of a mismatch there. You want to Ned v Matthews would be.
What if Matthews was in full werewolf form? So the fight is on a full moon night, and he turns, and suddenly. Suddenly it's like, that
would be interesting.
That'd be different, wouldn't it?
That'd be a different thing. Still think Nagano would have him off. James says Ned is currently taking his first pick for his OnlyFans. That's why he's been off.
Do you know what? Genuinely, right? I honestly think if Ned had a OnlyFans and someone said, "Can you upload your first pic?" His pic would be of his car. He'd go, "Yeah, there you go. It's a picture of my car. It's a private picture, but you asked for a picture."
Concrete.
That's what it'd be. The concrete car.
A concrete car, yeah.
His car is very reminiscent. Honest to God, if you park this car, like that's the best place Ned could ever park his car if he wanted it to be safe, next to a building site.
Yeah,
you just wouldn't be able to know the difference.
See it.
Like if you parked, if Ned could drive his car into the new stadium and park it next to the south stand, you wouldn't see his car.
Yeah.
Or you go steps. Just steps.
Remember Emma today on More Than a Game? She went put a full camouflage bikini on and we couldn't see her. That's what Ned would be like with his car.
Yeah. Honestly.
Agent Ancelotti said leave a Google review in the Premier League headquarters for one star.
That's it. Ned's car basically is John Cena when it's parked next to a wall.
It is.
Basic go.
Ned just gets out like that, doesn't he?
That's literally what Ned's car does. Oh,
You can't see me.
You can't see me. I'm in my car. Brum, brum.
Remember? She was amazing. Yeah. Brum, brum. Sure, she still does something.
I think she does. Hang on. We've got someone waiting.
Oh.
My apologies. My apologies. We've got someone waiting.
All right.
Who's probably just being earnest talking nonsense.
Yeah.
Hang on. Bear with.
You like this, Pet? Vin had a random dream that Mark Cuban bought Everton last night. So he's tweeted them to say, come and buy us today.
That's the dream. Right, who's there? Find out who's there.
Okay, who've we got? What's your name and what do you want to say? Hello? 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 No. Nobody there?
There's someone there. They just.
Oh.
Oh, lads.
Hello? 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 Is it me you're wanting to talk to?
It's definitely there because the video's on the screen.
Emma, I did. I answered about 4 of your questions. Oh, Emma, you changed since you put that camouflage bikini on.
Right, come on.
Who's waiting?
In the chat? Come on.
Hello? No, you keep going off. Come on. We can do this.
Come on.
My headphones out. I think my headphones are playing up.
Right, okay. What's your name and what do you want to say? I tell you what, take your headphones out and just speak because I could hear you for a sec.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. What's your name? What do you want to say?
Hang on.
You can't phone
It's
up
John.
and just tell me to hang on, John. Go on, John. What do you want to say, mate?
No, I didn't say. It's about the coverage since Friday, basically.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear. Hear me now, John. I can hear you.
I mean, obviously, since Friday. All right, sorry, mate. So since Friday lunchtime, when I nearly went Kyle Wren on me telly when I found out that news, you can't find the true story anywhere, can you?
No, not really.
And even we talk about there's a lot of talk about legacy media and like you expect the same from the usual crowd, but when you've got the likes of Jennings and Goldridge, and even they can't get the story straight. I just find what's the point of like a free press or free speech when people just can't? It just plays into the hands of people who can't be bothered to do their own work, and they just read like a bullet point version that someone's made up.
I mean, Rory Jennings has got a cheek, hasn't he? His club is genuinely in big trouble, and we'll see whether Rory is, follows up. Saying Chelsea deserve to be put in the Van Rama League and all of that kind of stuff when it all kicks off for them. Yeah. But this is, but
Exactly. Yeah, but they've almost got a duty, haven't they? Really, they've got a lot of followers. They've got a voice, but for them to not even bother to do their diligence and get the true story out, it just plays the trolls. Because something Ped mentioned, which I totally agree with. I think it was a week where football fans in England in general, or Great Britain, whichever you want to say, that do we really deserve national success, the state of us? Because you get a percentage of fans who are decent and they, the banter's one thing, but when you get the level of trolling that we have in this country compared to others where we don't come together as a football family to fight stuff like this.
No.
They just go tribal and they don't know when to draw the line. So you see it, we suddenly want, European or world success, but do we deserve it as much as I want it? Because we're really quite toxic, I think, as a footballing nation at times.
Yeah.
And stuff like this, for me, just seems to highlight it.
The biggest issue we've got, mate, is that you have all of this. We've seen it like over the last few days, not loads, but you get some fans and it's like, you cheated, just take your punishment and get on with it. And you're like, have we really cheated though? If you actually looked at and the minute they come back with, you've spent so much money, you've spent like 700 million in the last couple of seasons. You're like, go and read Everton are third from bottom in net spend over the last 5 seasons. Means Everton haven't hardly spent. They've bought some players and they've sold some players, but the reality is they haven't spent that much money in reality. Now, people see the headline figure of Farhad Moshiri and go, they spent whatever on players, 600 million on players. You go, that sounds a lot. That's from 2016. in the 11 years that David Moyes was here, we spent 130 million, I think, or 120 million in 11 years. Martinez spent a little bit of money. So when you look at how far Everton had fallen in, say, 14 seasons before Moshiri got here, we had to spend money to try to catch up a bit. If Everton had spent 600 million and recouped 50 million, then we'd be saying this is a joke and all that. And if Everton would have spent big money in the last couple of seasons when the Premier League was saying don't, and we were in trouble, then we would be hammering them. But Everton haven't bought anyone without selling anyone since Carlo Ancelotti, that summer he had when he was the manager. We spent 60 million, which is nothing, by the way. Up until then, before that, everyone we bought, we were selling as well. Just a little bit before that, we were having to recoup. Since that, we haven't been able to sign anybody without selling the equivalent amount. So we have spent some money. I'm not saying Everton haven't spent money, but it is reported totally different. And when you have people like Mark Goldbridge, who's a Nottingham Forest fan, becoming a United fan, because he's clever. And Mark, we've met Mark, and listen, he's totally different away from the camera. But
he's still a bellend.
Yeah, saying things and spreading the wrong. No, but you know why he is, right? It's because he's not giving you the fact. If he give you the facts and went, look, Everton have done this, and this is why they've been pulled up, and then he went on to give his opinion on whether he thinks that's right or wrong, whatever, you'd kind of go, well, at least he's giving you the story. But he's not. He's just going to, like you said, the bullet point bits, which are all wrong anyway. It's inaccurate. There's holes all over it. And I think that's what annoys me more than anything.
Yeah, I calm down and then I go onto YouTube and I see someone else who's created a podcast based on this story. Or, you know, you really have to go looking for any sort of balanced view. I mean, I found an AFC Bournemouth, and I've got a lot of time for Bournemouth. I found an AFC Bournemouth website who did have, you know, they had some empathy. They seemed to have the story straight. But when you got the top hitters like Jennings and Goldridge, they've got a big fan base, and people just click on. It's like you might as well go on Talk Sport.
Yeah.
And they're owned by, you know, other crowds so they're not an independent outlet. No. These lads are independent, but they're still they're going with the sort of the narrative. So I don't need to sign up to that.
But don't forget, both of them are used on that station that talks about sports.
That's true.
Both of them. Goldbridge is paid by them, so you know you've
that's true.
So, but that's the way it is. We've just you've got to cut through that ped, haven't you? And it's difficult to do it, mate. I'm with you.
Though you just mentioned it there. It's like Goldbridge and Rory are both paid big to go on that because the simple fact is they bring their audience with them, and all their audience is people in it from YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that, and that's what their audience is now. So you're not actually getting facts, you're getting opinion, and you're not getting well-sourced opinion. Like, why hasn't someone like Mark Goldbridge had someone like us on his show to talk about this? Because they won't. Because they just, you know, why don't they have someone who actually has a clue what they're talking about rather than, and then he's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers and they hang off it every word he says. So what he says is gospel. You know, you might as well have Bleeding Speed telling us what the situation is at Everton. Do you know what I mean?
He'd have more
you're getting the same, you might as well have bloody whoever who's running the old Vic in EastEnders telling me what, because they're the same. They've got it's nonsense. If you're going to have opinions, make sure you've got some kind of source to it, or you have some kind of counterpoint to it. So yeah, it's bollocks. And again, it's people. There's also a lot of people out there who go because they buck the trend because there is sympathy to Everton. So you've got people going, well, actually, if you look at this and you look at this proves that everything you've done's wrong. But they're not taking into consideration all the finer details of it all, you know, and well, they're not taking into consideration that it's wrong in the first place.
But if we were going to do, just before John comes back in, if we were going to do a piece on what a football club where there was a big story like this, I'd like to think me and you would read some stuff first before we wouldn't just put, let's just use Crystal Palace because they're a mid-table team and all that, but we wouldn't do like Palace docked 10 points for cheating. Or we'd read it and go, why have they been docked? what's kind of happened, and then we'd go, well, reading this, we'd try to give an opinion where it's like, did have a little bit of balance or look for some truth in it. You wouldn't just go sensational nonsense. But like you hit it before, John, they got big following, so cause more, the lowest common denominator, isn't it? Put something in, don't read anything, don't do any kind of research on it, and yet you've got sheep who just subscribe and follow them because that's all they want. That's just the way it is, mate.
Yeah, no, it is infuriating, but obviously, on a positive, I would just also like to say that what the 1878 have done with this funding is absolutely superb. So on a positive finish. That was it really. Just wanted to vent, and also, once again, you're help sailing us through these horrible waters that we find ourselves in. So big shout to you, lads.
I've got a dinghy and a bucket at the moment. I know that.
I'm behind you, bucketing it out while you don't actually. There's not a chance you do the bleeding row and too hard. I'm better than you. No, listen, but we'll just have to keep working our way through it because that's all we can do, isn't it?
That's it.
That's all we can do.
Every day.
Yeah.
Poor.
Nice one,
John, mate. All right.
Easy.
Cheers. Take care, pal.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? You get a lot of people going, well, you have broke this rule and all that rule. Does that mean the rule's right? These are rules that people might only be discovering for the first time. Does that make them right?
But also, though, I think most Evertonians will go, we have kind of gone over that line, so we have done it. We have broke a rule. But what we're saying is the punishment's ridiculous. We have broke the rule. No one's saying we haven't. We know we have. It shouldn't have done as us trying to cheat when bleeding hell anyone with eyes can see Everton having tried to get a sporting advantage over the last few years. Jesus Christ. Awful football. But that's the frustration. There is kind of reasons why. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we are our biggest critics.
Absolutely.
As
being run pathetic.
As fans and certainly as a channel, we've always been Everton's biggest critics in terms of when they do something wrong. No one can tell us. I'm often called I'm called negative quite a lot, but there's a reason behind that. There's a reason, because I've watched my club be pulled apart for years by people who are nowhere near good enough, and I've had to listen to people tell me that the people who've ran this club for the last 20 years know what they're doing, and clearly they don't know what they're doing. Clearly they haven't got a clue, because they're so stuck. They were so stuck in the past that they didn't see the game getting away from them. They couldn't see the game getting away from them, and when the game had got away from them, they still didn't react to it. So that has always been my feeling. So where I look at it now is I just think, we know we've been run by absolute cowboys, and yet we're still here saying, well, yeah, we have been run, and we told you all about this, and you still want to punish us as a fan base over and over and over. And people can laugh and people can call us cheats, but it is us who has to deal with it. It is us that are going to have to pick it all up. It is us as a fan base that we're going back to the well. Kevin Felwell saying it today. We're all together. We know you'll be great. Everyone keeps on talking how magnificent the atmosphere is going to be on Sunday, and how people are trying to get tickets, and people on the outside going, "Oh my God, this is going to be mad. This is going to be unbelievable." Well, where does that come from? That comes from the fan base. That comes from the same fan base that feels like it's being punished again and again and again for by the way, nothing more than wanting its football club to be where we think our football club should be. Nothing more. Nothing more.
That's all it is.
You can throw all these nonsense clubs at us. We as a football club, we as a fan base, still have high standards for our football club. We don't look at Man City and we don't look at Chelsea and think they're a bigger club than us. We don't think like that. We don't look at Spurs and go, wow, 10 years of being in the Champions League makes them a bigger team than us. We look at what we are and we go, do you know what? We're still a big football club. We look at Aston Villa and we say, why aren't we doing that? Why couldn't have we gone out and got a really good manager and give him the keys to the place and not let anyone else interfere? We have respect for people like Villa because we see a lot of ourselves in them. As a fan base, we've held this club together. We are the glue that holds this club together. Because as we always say, if the fan base walked away, this club would cease to exist. You can't say that for a lot of teams nowadays. Certainly in the top echelons. So we will obviously keep fighting for our club. Because that's what we do. That's what we've always done, isn't it? That's what we've always done. We just feel let down when other people don't fight for our football club as hard as we can. People who do make a difference don't fight for our football club. And I think that's what the football club is starting to understand now. The people who are there. Because the people that aren't those people still at the football club who have been hiding in their bunkers and not wanting to come out, they're gone now for the most part. The owner's got a foot out the door, let's be honest. He can turn up at games. I don't know whether he'll be there on Sunday. I don't know whether, 777 will be there on Sunday. They should be. They should be the ones showing the leadership. But again, it'll all be on the fans, won't it? Because it always comes back to the fans. And all we've ever asked for is for our club to be run properly. That's all we've ever asked for. And for a while, we trusted the football club, didn't we, to be run properly. We saw what was happening, thinking, they must have a plan. They must know more than we do. And the problem was, I think 2019, going into 2020, that's when it suddenly dawned on a lot of people. These people don't have a plan and didn't have a plan and have let our club get to this position. And we've been fighting ever since.
Mad. Absolutely mad. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the video as well. And also, don't forget, go and subscribe to More Than a Game. Gareth Farrelly inside the game is out. Gareth Southgate in the future. Gareth Farrelly.
That one we called Inside Gareth Southgate.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Different conversation.
Took you a minute there.
It did. It's because I've just seen the thumbnail for Gareth Southgate. Gareth, what? I've just read something about Gareth Southgate, but I've just seen the thumbnail that Ned had on, and I'd done nothing.
Did you not authorise that?
I'd authorised it without
thinking
it.
Yeah.
And
but it's your fault then, isn't it?
It is. I've got to take the blame.
Yeah.
He's done it, and I've not. The quality control hasn't picked it up, and that was on me. So it is one of them. But make sure you subscribe to More Than a Game. The link is going in now. Check out the Gareth Farrelly Inside the Game. It's brilliant. But let's see. Charles says, I'm a West Ham fan. I'm going to be watching on Sunday just to see the atmosphere. It's going to be mad.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely. Chris says, they picked the fight with the wrong fans. We will never give up on the club.
Absolutely.
That's it. We've just got to battle and see what we can get, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Right, are we done?
Yeah, I think we're done,
We're done. So take it easy,
Great
everybody.
reaction. Thank you to everyone who called. Great reaction tonight. It's what we want every week. That's exactly what we want every week on this show. People reacting to stuff, people who are angry, people who feel, whatever the situation is. It's great to hear so many people calling from all around the world as well. That's exactly what we want on this show, because listen, we could sit here for an hour and a half and read out all your comments and just have chats, but when people are calling up, it does make a massive difference. Whether there's frogs, no frogs, tadpoles, whatever,
frog spawn,
it is brilliant to hear so many people from different places get in touch and get their feelings across. So there you go. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 live on Toffee TV Premier. So catch us there. See you later. Bye.